Hey, what's up, everyone? Mark Carson here, and today we'll be doing a throwing mechanics breakdown on Julian Sayin, the quarterback for Ohio State. This is after he threw 31 touchdowns, 6 interceptions. This is a sophomore season, 6'1", 210 pounds. We'll hop right into it here. And there's a lot of things that we see here that a lot of the top quarterbacks do. So when we see the first kind of initial load, this is a great throw. Really good job of loading into the back leg. I like how a lot of these top quarterbacks, when you look at the back view or even the side view, but definitely the back view, you could see that knee bend, playing with a very good bent position. He's not a super tall quarterback, 6'1". You know, I'd say guys that are considered tall would be over 6'3". And so even with him being a little bit shorter, he's still playing with a good knee bend to be able to load. Look how he loads in the back leg and gets that strong push off, strong extension out of the knee, out of the hip, to then make it so then he can rotate through the hips as he's going through the throw. Not a lot of wasted motion within the load. Isn't getting the ball back behind his head. We can see here where the ball is. I mean, maybe a third of the football gets kind of close to that position behind the head, but for the most part, not getting the ball stuck back there, which makes it so that he can get the ball out of his hands quickly. This is a great throw in between cover two, puts the ball in the right place and leads to a touchdown. Next one here, we have a kind of play action pass, gets set up, takes a hitch, and delivers a just great deep ball here. Again, what we're looking at is starting off with the knee bend, right? How can we get more power out of the throw? I think would be a good way to kind of emphasize the focus here. Again, 6'1", 210 pounds, not overly big in any sense, but still is able to have a strong arm. Obviously was a Heisman finalist, and a big part of that is just because he's very efficient with his body. You can see puts a lot of load in that back leg, takes a pretty long stride here. Not necessarily something that I coach is to go and take this super long stride. You can see he's starting a little bit past the 47-yard line, and then with that step, he's almost to the 49-yard line. So it's almost 2 yards of a step, probably about 1.5 yards altogether. That's a pretty long step. That's probably about 5 feet of distance there. But he does do a good job getting all of his weight up onto that front leg as he's releasing the ball. Again, ends up putting the ball into a great place for a touchdown. And here's a good example of him kind of escaping the pocket, getting outside, and then being able to find the receiver. I like what he's doing here with that front leg, right? So we can see this position. And we see, like, Patrick Mahomes gets into this as well, where he lets that knee stay in and foot stay out, and then he gets that front foot down onto the ground, really drives off of that back leg to then be able to finish through the throw. Okay, and what that does, that kind of loads the hip, right? So getting into this position makes it so he's loading that front hip. Then when he gets that foot down, now he has a little bit more torque into that hip as he is delivering the throw. A lot of what these guys that are not necessarily really big guys do to be able to still generate a lot of power is be very efficient out of that lower half. Another good example of this one, you can see much shorter with getting that front foot down, gets that ball around quick to deliver the throw before he gets pressured. Again, really accurate throw. And that's what I would say with him, is he does a good job when you watch through all this and watch his film. He does a good job no matter what the base is, no matter what's happening around him, he still is able to get the ball into a good position, catchable footballs. And to me, that ends up being a big part of it. Obviously, not every time is he throwing a perfect football, but there's a lot of times where, you know, they're pressuring him, or he has somebody that's coming close to his face. There's a lineman getting close to him, and he's still able to make the throw, which, again, that ends up being a really important thing to be able to develop as a quarterback. Now, it helps that he has a great offensive line. It helps that he has probably the best player in college football with Jeremiah Smith to be able to throw to. Those things obviously make a big difference, but he also has to be able to execute as well. Here, I like this one just because we can see the release. Does a good job getting the elbow through. A little bit wide here. You know, like, again, one of those things, like, I wouldn't coach this, right? I wouldn't be like, hey, we need to be at a 50-degree angle when we're releasing. I think closer to 90 is better, but 50 is something that, you know, you want to be able to have a ability to have a wide variety of different throwing angles, throwing positions. I think he still does a good job flicking the wrist, getting the ball all the way around. I don't know exactly what the situation was around him. You know, you can't really tell with the video, but he still is able to throw a accurate throw, gets the ball to the right guy, and leads to a touchdown. That ultimately, again, ends up being the job of the quarterback. The job of the quarterback isn't to have the best mechanics in the world. The job of the quarterback is to make sure the right person is getting the football. They're getting into the ball in a position to be able to make a play, potentially score a touchdown, puts the offense in a situation to be able to win, to be able to score. And yeah, a lot of times being able to be efficient with the football or being able to be efficient with the throw helps in being able to do that more effectively, helps in being able to, and if you could put a lot of power behind the throw, you could throw the ball with a lot more distance or velocity. That gives you more access to more throws, gives you longer time to be able to dissect the defense, which is ultimately benefits the quarterback. And so we want to be able to get ourselves into good positions, but not all the time we're going to be able to throw with our feet in the right position. Not all the time we're going to have to be able to throw with the arm in the right angle. And sometimes it's going to be, a football that ends up not looking as good as, some of the other ones. So just something to be able to consider when watching different quarterbacks throw is like, how can we properly apply this to our own mechanics to make it so it's actually beneficial for our game and our bodies and some of the things that we do well and don't do well. I like Julian Sayin again because he's just not a big quarterback. And so you could take some of these things and apply it, because I know there's a lot of people that are watching this that are probably in that kind of 6'1", maybe 180, 170 in terms of the size, which as you get older, you'll be able to put on more size. But if you're, 6'1", 180, 185 pounds, and you're looking to get more power out of the throw, watching some of these things will end up making a big difference. And if you are 6'1" and 160 pounds, right, if you're really small, then you got to put on more weight. We do add that into our throw program. If you guys want to check that out, check out the description down below. Thanks for watching, and we'll talk to you soon.